Hello students, today's agenda is to check homework. You're going to learn about data points and equations, and you will be able to do 3.2. Today students will be able to write an equation from a scenario. So a scenario is like a word problem, something that is going on. And the first one says, Carlos has $50 now. Tomorrow he will have $40. In 2 days he will have $30. In 3 days he will have $20, and so on. So it says create data points. What it means is to create a coordinate, okay, or an order pair or coordinate or point. Okay, so these are the three names, and so basically this is very simple. It says Carlo has $50 now. So now is gonna refer to our x, and it means that 0 days have gone by. Sorry, I put the 50 in here, but right now I have $50, or Carlos has. Okay, this is a 0. Tomorrow he will have $40. So if today is represented by 0, tomorrow is going to be 1 day later, so number 1. Okay, the x is going to be the days, and y is going to be the money that he has. Tomorrow he will have $40. In 2 days he will have $30. Okay, in 3 days he will have, okay, 3 days is the x, the days, he will have $20, and so on. And so it continues, the pattern continues like that. Okay, so basically even if they don't give you the information in here, that means that you could figure it out. So what's going on? Right now he has 50, tomorrow he will have 40. Oh, look at what's happening. The day after that is 30. So 50, 40, 30, 20. You can do the other one even if it doesn't give you the information, but we're just going to leave it like that. The equation for y equals mx plus b, in the previous lesson we learned that this is the initial point. And the initial point is the y-intercept, and it's also the first point to graph, but also it's what you have right now, so I'm not going to put this information in the next examples, but it's good for you to have that, the initial point, what you have right now, or also the number next to 0, the y for when x is 0, the value of y when x equals 0. Okay, so that's the value for that. So in here we can see that it's going to be 50, because 50 is right next to 0. Well, $50 is what Carlos has right now. Okay, the m is always the change. This little triangle means change. Okay, so change on y over the change on x. So what is happening on y? What is happening right here? Oh, 50, 40, that means that I subtracted 10 from here to here. 40 to 30, oh, I subtracted 10. I subtracted 10. Okay, 30 minus 10 equals 20. So the change on y, and let me see, my x will always be the same. My y will always be the same. This sometimes is positive, sometimes is negative, depending on the scenario. Okay, and so the change on y What's going on the y? Oh, it's negative 10. Negative 10. That means that Carlos is spending money. And for the y, for the x, what's going on? 0 to 1? Oh, plus 1. From 1 to 2? Oh, plus 1. So what's going on the x? Every single time is changing 1. Plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. Okay? And so, in here, I would put it over x. Plus 1 means positive 1, so I'll just leave it like that. Usually, you will not need the denominator as 1, so you can just eliminate that. So basically, you would say, oh, my equation is y equals negative 10x plus 50. Okay, that will be the equation if they're asking for the equation. But in here it says to sketch a graph. To sketch it, you do need the rise and run. Okay, and so we can sketch the graph in two different ways. By plotting these points, by graphing them, or just by doing the graph, the equation. So it starts at positive 50 and it goes down by 10, so it will be good to also choose those units. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and this is money. Okay, on the other side, or the other axis, which is the x-axis, since it's going by 1, I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. And so the independent variable is days, the dependent variable is money. And so let me graph using this one, and then I'm gonna just verify with this one. Okay, 0, 50. So 0, you don't move, and then 50, 1, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. That's my first point. The next point is 140. 1, 10, 20, 30, 40. The next one is 230. So 1, 2, 10, 20, 30. So it's just like graphing points or coordinates, okay? That's what we're doing actually. The next one is 320. 1, 2, 3 for x, and then 20, 10, 20 right there. Okay, and that's all that they're giving us. Excuse me. So my graph is gonna go somewhere like this, something like this. Okay, I had a strategy in here, I don't see it anymore. Okay, and so it still says sketch. Sketch says that it's not gonna be perfect. Okay, what if we use the formula instead of the equation, instead of the coordinates? Okay, this is my initial point, and this is my rise, and this is my run. So my initial point is 50, and it's always on y. My slope, it's negative 10. That means you go down, okay, up or down, left or right. Okay, so 50 initial point, you go down 10, and then 1 to the right, and that's where you graph it. Rise, negative 10, positive 2. The rise is negative 10, the run is positive 1. The rise is negative 10, the run is, I think I'm confusing it. Okay, sorry. So you start the initial point, and then the rise, negative 10 over 1. 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 So even if it doesn't have, you can repeat as long as you want. What would happen if you went down to negative 10? Oh, you would go down negative 10 over 1. That means that in 6 days, Carlos is gonna owe $10. At the same time, you can also go on this direction for x, and that will be negative 1, negative 2, etc., etc. And you can go down also negative $20, negative $30. That means that you owe more money, or Carlos. What this means is that in here, yesterday, he owed $60. And 2 days ago, he owed $70. I mean, he had, because it's positive, right? So he has $70. Yesterday, he had $60. 2 days ago, he had 70. But right now, in 0, remember 0 represents right now. He has $50. Okay, so I know it's a lot of information. I need to kind of long. For the next examples, it's not going to be as long, but that's how it would look. Okay, this next example says you are putting water into bottles. One bottle, we can just start putting the information since we know these are data points. One bottle has 0.75 liters. 2 bottles has 1.5 liters. 3 bottles has 2.25 liters. 4 bottles has 3 liters, and so on. Okay, so if you do the math, 0.75 plus 0.75 is 1.5. 1.5 plus 0.75 is 2.25. 2.25 plus 0.75 is 3. So basically we're just adding, each bottle has this much liters of water. Okay, so this is 3/4. So to find the equation, again, we have y equals mx plus b. B is the initial point and is the number that is always with 0. Okay, look at what the information says. The value of y when x equals 0. And so think about it. In here we don't have that information, but if we had 0 bottles of water, how much water are you going to have? Well, since you don't have any bottles, you don't have any water, so it's going to be 0, 0. That's your initial point. And so my initial point will be 0 for y. Now, x and y are always going to be there. And what's going on? Oh, we already said that on the y, we're adding plus 0.75 plus 0.75 plus 0.75. So on the top, it's positive, so we're going to put 0.75 over. In here we have, oh, plus 1 bottle, plus 1 bottle, plus 1 bottle. So the change on x is plus 1. Again, remember, that's plus 75. Again, remember that usually we don't put that unless we're going to graph. And since this says sketch a graph, you're going to do it, okay? So now for the sketching of graph, we're going to have 1 bottle. In here, the independent variable is bottles of water. And in here is water. I'm just going to put H2O since we know that that's the scientific way of writing water. Okay, 2 molecules of hydrogen for 1 of oxygen. Okay, so 1 bottle, 2 bottles, 3 bottles, 4 bottles, 5 bottles, etc. 0 bottles. So we have, since it's going to be every 75, I'm just going to put for 1 bottle 150 2.25 and 3. And the next one will be 3.75. Okay, so it's adding 0.75. So if I have 0 bottles, I'm gonna have 0 water. 1.75, 2, 153, 225, 4, 3, etc., etc. Okay, and with lots of imagination, this is a very straight line. In here, we would graph the line just going back and forth. However, we cannot have negative bottles of water, and we cannot have negative water. So basically, if we were to put limits, that's where it would start. It wouldn't make sense in questions if they say, can we say that we have negative days? I mean negative bottles? No, because we can't say that. It doesn't make sense. So this is it. If you were to use this, it's still the same. 0, 0, 1.75. For this one is 2, 1.5, so 1, 2, and then 0.75, 1.5. Okay, so it's gonna be going on like that, where you can use either the point or the equation to graph. Okay, let's do one more example, and this one says you're paying off a debt. Oh, deuda. That means negative money. You owe $50 right now. O means negative. Negative 50. Again, right now. Sorry. So, sorry about that. The right now is for the X. Y is the money you have. So it's negative 50 because it's debt. Deuda. You owe means debes. Okay, and so in a month you will owe $25. In 2 months you will owe nothing. In 3 months you will have in 3 months, you will have $25, and so on. So to find the equation, remember that the B is always with the 0 for X. And so, in here is going to be actually negative 50. So I should just write, oops, lots of mistakes today. I'm still not awake. So the B is what you have right now, which is a debt of $50. Remember I said it could be positive or negative. And for the M is what's happening. What's happening in Y first. Some people get confused, like they say, oh, you're subtracting 25. But in reality, if you have a big debt, okay, and then later on you only have a small debt, that means that you're paying $25 from here to here. If you owed 25 and now you have 0, that means that you don't owe anything. You paid $25. And from this one to this one, so from here to here you paid $25, okay, or deposited in the bank. Okay, no debíamos nada, ahora tenemos 25, you're adding 25. For the X is 1 month plus 1 plus 1 and then from here to here also plus 1. Okay, so positive 25 over every 1 month. So what's happening every how often? That's your M or your slope. Okay, now it says sketch the graph, and it looks like since it's negative, it's actually gonna be down here, and I just did it in here. Lo siento, I'm gonna do it over here, and so I'm gonna be needing the space below because it's debt, and it's going by 25, so it's gonna be 0, negative 25, negative 50, and then it goes to the positives because it goes to 25. Now you have 25. Okay, and here you have the months, and here you have money, and it can be debt or positive money in the bank. Okay, so 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, and then in here it means last month, 2 months ago, etc., etc. And you can even go down here if you needed to, and more on this side. So it says that right now I have a debt of $50. So right now I owe $50. Next month I'll owe $25. In 2 months I'll owe nothing, and in 3 months I'll have $25. So what do you think? Even if they don't give us more information, we can say that last month, since I made a payment of 25, that means the last month I owed $75. And in 2 months ago, I owed $100. Okay, so my graph will go something like this. And even it shows that in 4 months I'll have $50 and so on. Okay, so this is how you would sketch the graph. If you think about it with the equation, this is my initial point, this is my rise, it goes up 25, 1, 25, 1, 25, 1, 25, 1. Okay, so you can use either the points or the equation to graph. And one little thing that I forgot to mention in the previous example is that for the equation, once you give, this is for graphing, you need this initial point and you need the run. But in reality, all you need is 0.75x. That will be my equation. You don't put the initial point if it's 0, and you don't put the run if it's 1. Okay, only 1. Okay, and now you can work on 3.2 and have fun.